Yes, welcome to this week's Outlook. So we are majorly going to be focusing on the pairs that have trading potential this week. Yeah. So, but I'm much invested in the Swiss pairs. So I'll just go straight into the Swiss pairs, and then we can look at the other pairs later. So this week, the Swiss pairs are at very interesting uh, areas of value. So I would want to focus on them and therefore wait for those particular trades that we can be able to capitalize on them. Yeah. So first of all, before you can go into the technical, which is almost the last part of the puzzle, you will need to understand other components. Of course, that is the fundamental nature. And also more important is the pair that you're trading, the characteristics of that pair in terms of the economic policies of both micro and macro that surround that pair. So when we're going to trade the Swiss pairs, we need to understand it from the fundamental part, which is the micro and macro, and then the technicals for our trade entries. Yeah, so basically, we're going to be having the outlook of Swiss pair, like I said. So usually, I want to look at the Swiss pairs from the longest perspective possible. That is from the swing trading perspective. And then I align my my fundamentals in order, and then I can be able to have entries based on technical analysis. So just to understand the Swiss pairs, it's one of the most interesting pairs in the Forex market. How is it interesting? The Swiss is interesting because of the Swiss economy. The nature of the Swiss franc economy makes the Swiss pairs very interesting. And by that, I mean the fact that the Swiss is one of the most strongest economies in the world. Even that to say, the Swiss pair is actually it's very strong. And the reasons why it is very strong is just because of the, the political stability in that country, and then their neutral stance when it comes to foreign related affairs. And then also they are heavily invested in research and development, to the point that one of the major research institutes, like the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology and so many others, which are very core in researching. So, and then if you go and look at the political stability index of Swiss is very high, about 1.38. When you go and also look at other factors, such as ranking by the World International Organization, World Intellectual Organization. So these things, they all put, when you compare the Swiss to most of the European currencies, it is one of the most powerful ones. So Switzerland is ranked by the World Intellectual Property as the first country. And this has been happening for the last 12 years. So you can see how powerful it is. And for that, now, whenever you relate Switzerland to most of these other currency pairs, whether it is JPY or Euro or the pound, there is always a tendency of the Swiss currency to be strong. Meaning, even if it weakens for a short period of time, that one is going to be happening just for the while, and then eventually it strengthens. And of course, the reasons why the Swiss currency always strengthens is what I've stated from the micro perspective. So it's one of the most stable economies in Europe and all over the world, and that puts it at an advantage of being strong almost all the time. So once you have a perspective of that pair based on the economic policies that surround it, and then we can go into the technical. So if you look at the technical here, this is the monthly chart for the Swiss pair. On the monthly perspective, you can see that the Swiss pair has been relatively stronger than the JPY. And for that reason, Swiss has just been trending to the upside. And as we talk now, this was the previous all-time high, which the market has surpassed now. The market has formed a new all-time high above the previous one here. And the reason for that is the nature of the Swiss economy that makes it stronger than most pairs. Yeah, but the reason why I'm saying the Swiss is very interesting now, it is because it is at all-time high. And usually, if the market reaches at an all-time high, there's a tendency for it to drop a little bit before it can continue upward. Yeah, so for that reason, we will be much interested in the Swiss pairs. So having known the policies around the Swiss, then we can go into the technicals. So in the technical, this was our previous high, which has been taken out here. The market is trying to form new highs, although the monthly candle has not yet closed because we still have about 4 to 3 days for the monthly candle to close. But it is important for us to understand our previous high, which was here. So once we have marked our previous high, which is here, and then we can now begin to go to other lower time frame to try to understand the technical nature and the technical, how the technicals are aligning, whether we can get a trade shorting position. And of course, the shorting position can either be for a long term or a short term, depending on how the technicals are going to be informing us. So that being said, we want to go now to our, this was the yearly time frame, by the way. So because I approach the market from the swing perspective, so I get to understand it from the highest time frame possible. So this was the yearly time frame, which is the 12-month time frame. Of course, if you're an intra-day trader or you're a scalper, it may not be necessary for you to look at that. But of course, for the swingers, we need to capture 500 pips, 1,000 pips, 100 pips. So we will need to go as high as possible. Then that being said, I want to scale in and try to understand the nature of price action on the lower time frames. So on the monthly chart, this is what we get. Yeah, so this was our previous high, which was taken away. And so now we are trading around this region here. So this is where we're going to be looking for trading opportunities. So you can see from this monthly chart, the market has been bullish, with this monthly candle left with about 3 days to close so that we can see what exactly happens. So there is no clear price action for me to be able to trade here. So I want to zoom in lower time frames and see how it is going. So on my weekly time frame, I remember this was the previous high, which was being retested. So the market had gone past it. Now the market came to retest it and then continues to push higher. So we have our weekly high here. So we want to see how price is going to play around this. But then we also need to understand how much information is contained here. So the moment we understand the information that is contained here, we can be able to analyze the charts better. For that case, I usually come to my daily time frame. And because of swing trading, sometimes I rarely go to the other lower time frame. So my focus will be, usually I stop at the daily and then I begin to look for my trade entries. And then maybe I could go to the 4-hourly time frame. Yes. So on my daily, I can clearly see here, this was a previous high where the market reached, and then the market was able to come down to these lows. And then on these lows, we see the market has not taken away these lows, so the market is ranging between these areas. So we have this high and then this low. So remember, this high here is our all-time high. And with this being our all-time high, price is a little bit trapped in between this region and in this zone. So more information will come on how you can be able to trade. Now, this one, you will be able to use whatever strategy you trade. For us, use a price difference. We need to understand the differences in prices that are formed at a particular area of interest, and then we can be able to look for our trading opportunities. Yeah, so I'm not going to go into the details of the entries, but this is our outlook on this pair. So the best time to be able to trade this pair are, actually, I want to see these lows taken away. So if the market is able to take away these lows, and then we can begin to have a trend that is begin to form, whereby the market takes away these lows, and then we can begin to look for our selling opportunities, or the failure of the market to take away these highs. As soon as the market fails to take away these highs, and then we can begin to also look for selling opportunities around here. But for now, price is stuck in between this region, and we will be more interested in taking trades and then possibly swing them all the way to the previous high. Remember, this area which we've drawn is our previous high, which was taken away. So we'll be hoping market can be able to drop down all the way up here. And this drop will mean a temporary weakness in the Swiss pair, because it is at its all-time high. We expect it to weaken a little bit before it can strengthen again. Yeah. So with that being said, this is how, looking at the Swiss pairs and my expectations, I'm looking for selling opportunities, and depending on how the market happens, then I will be able to take a trade, and then maybe we can get in at the right time. So I can't just analyze this alone. I have to look for another Swiss pair, so that we can have a proper understanding of how they are going to move on each other. So on this pair here, the Swiss was the base currency, and then the JPY being the code. So I want to look for another Swiss pair, which is the quote. So the easiest one would be New Zealand Swiss. So with New Zealand Swiss, I want to be able to understand it also from the longer perspective, because the Swiss has been generally stronger. That means that the New Zealand Swiss has been dropping. So if it has been dropping, is it at its all-time low or at its all-time high? So Swiss yen was at its all-time high. So, but now we see New Zealand Swiss at its all-time high lows. So I'll be looking for buying opportunities here, as well as I look for selling opportunities on the first pair we tackled. So when I look at this now, we are at all-time low, which is this on the 12-month perspective, which is the yearly candle. So when I come to my monthly, I want to also see whether the market took away the previous lows. So just to let you know, from the swing perspective, usually when the market takes away the previous lows, or the low which was there, the market tends to go up. So you can see these lows here. You can see these lows here. Once the market took them out here, we had a rally to the upside. And then we had these previous lows. Once the market took them out, the market was able to go up. And now we have this low. So we want to see what will happen here, depending on what we see on the lower time frames. Yeah, so we will be looking for some trading opportunities to the upside, depending on what we see. It's just a simple way of understanding it from the bigger picture. The lows are taken away, and the new low which is formed, the market pushes up. The lows are taken away, on the new low which is formed, the market pushes up. Yeah. So once we have this perspective, we know where we are at. We are at a point whereby the previous low is being cleared. So once we have that, we know we'll be looking for buying opportunities on this area. But again, we're not just going to buy because the lows have been taken out. We will need some confirmation from the technical perspective. So that being said, we can go to the weekly chart. Then on the weekly chart, we want to also understand how price is forming and see better, because as we zoom in, we understand the markets better. So on the weekly, this is how it looks like, looking very good. So on the weekly, I want you to observe something here. Here we had our previous weekly low, which was taken away by this weekly low, and now price is, is around this area, with this being our all-time low, which was taken away. So with that being said, it is important for us to be able to understand price, how it is behaving around this region, and whether we can have some buying opportunities on New Zealand Swiss. So for us to be able to understand price action more and better, we need to zoom into lower time frames. But before we zoom in, I can just mark this as our low base of the weekly. And then finally, we come to our daily time frame. And then on our daily time frame, we will be able to understand how price is behaving from this perspective. So this is our all-time daily lows. So, and price broken, trying to move up, but then we see price coming back down. So now we have this high, which has not yet been taken out, and then we have these lows. So now we're waiting for more price action and therefore be able to buy maybe around here. If we get the confirmations that we need, we can be able to scale in with the way we trade price difference, understanding price difference on the lower time frame, especially the 4-hour and the daily. And once we get that, we can be able to look for those buying opportunities and therefore swing the trade for some good pips. Yeah. With the way we trade and the swing trading, maybe the average, I can say the least pips we can capture is usually maybe about 100 pips on an average. But then when we get some good trends, we can be able to capture more than that, 500 even to 1,000 pips. Yeah. So I know people usually find it difficult, and many people usually avoid the Swiss pairs. But the Swiss pairs, if you understand the economic policies that surround it, you will be able to trade it with ease. It's just one of those powerful economies. That's why you see it's like where most money is being kept. Most billionaires and millionaires keep their money in the Swiss banks. You've seen this in movies, had it, and all that stuff. It's because of the economic policies. Yeah. And its neutral stance when it regards to foreign affairs and stuff like that is also another factor which makes Switzerland a very a good pair to understand based on their technicals. Maybe just to let you know, did you realize that during the lockdowns, during the COVID-19 session periods, Switzerland was never even locked down? So this just gives you how neutral they are when it comes to many other foreign affair related issues. So an understanding of the Swiss pairs can be able to help you understand the technical. So we understand the fundamental factors surrounding a pair, and then we scale in for our entries based on the technicals, and then understanding of price action and the clear strategy that we use. So right now, I will be looking for those opportunities when they present themselves. Yeah, so usually when the trades are ready, I usually send them on the Telegram group. But this is what we have for now. Or maybe I can just throw in one more pair, Swiss pair, which is of course very important for us to understand, which will be the dollar Swiss pair. So the dollar Swiss pair is also another interesting pair. If you look at it from the bigger time frame, and as we talk now, the Swiss pair has actually been stronger than the dollar. Yeah, has been stronger than the dollar. And it's not by mistake that the Swiss pair is even stronger, has been having a strong outlook more than the dollar, the world's most used currency. It's just very simple. Even the world intellectual property ranks Switzerland as #1, and then USA follows. So you can see how Switzerland is looked at in terms of that. If you are to look at it in terms of your Ugandan shillings, maybe to help you understand, because we are traders from East Africa, one Swiss franc, one Swiss is equal to about 4,100 Ugandan shillings. So you can see that big difference. The dollar is usually averaging from $1 equaling to 3,800 to 3,700 and 500 there. But with the Swiss, one Swiss is equal to 4,100 shillings or more in Ugandan shillings. So if you can have your money in Swiss, the better. Okay. So anyway, so looking at the Swiss, the USD Swiss, the dollar Swiss, Yeah, so this is our all-time low. Of course, there's a possibility of the market coming up, down all the way up to here. So once you have this outlook, it becomes so easy for you to hold the trade. So sometimes I hold trades for like 6 months, 8 months, 3 months, and then guys ask me, how is that possible? The reason why it is possible is because you have this knowledge of what that pair entails. And once you have that, you combine it with your technical analysis and that clear strategy that you have backtested over a certain period of time. You have your entry at the right price. And having entries at the right price, yeah, I mean the ability for you to be able to sell at the highest price possible or buy at the lowest price possible. So in trading, you want to find the best prices. So we sell high and then buy low, but you don't want to just buy at any low price. You want to buy at the best possible low price. And then when price goes high, you want to be able to sell at the best, at the most high price. So we sell high, we buy low. So once we have that, eventually this market is going to move down here and complete this, come to this previous low, which is about 1,900 pips. So it is possible to capture up to 2,000 pips, 1,900 pips, 1,500 pips, but we need to understand the nature of that. So we have this market around here. So there is no more information we can see here. So we want to come to our monthly chart and be able to digest this pair from the monthly chart. Okay. So from the monthly chart, you realize this is our, this will be our interesting, or one of our areas where we will want to see price react on. Yeah, so based on how we trade, we'll explain that in details. Yeah, so once we have this, then we can mark this also as our low, where we can possibly take trades and then take some partial profits. Coming onto the weekly, so we're waiting for price to come to this region. We look for some selling opportunities, especially on the daily, depending on how we trade. So, and then we can be able to, from here, possibly swing it to here. That is about 360 pips. And then eventually, of course, given the right perspective, we can be able to look for all of this, eventually come here up to 1,800 pips. So based on how we trade, price difference and all of that, we, when the signal and when the market is ripe, well, we can be able to look for the trade and then take our selling around here. But of course, I'm just putting this here to help us understand where we want to take action. Okay. So these are areas in which we shall be looking for trading opportunities. We take action and swing it down there. So, and then also on Swiss yen, I will possibly take our sell, maybe there, once we get the right setup, and then we swing it down there. With the right setup and the right price action. And then finally, our New Zealand Swiss can be able to take the trade around there once we get our good confirmation. And then we can be able to swing it. So the same way we can be able to enter a trade is the same way we can exit it. So if we get the clear price action with the price difference that we want to take, we can be able to swing it until we see the next price difference and exit. So the same way you enter a trade is the same way you get out. So with that being said, this is my outlook on Swiss pairs. Right now, I'm just seated, watching and waiting at the right time. Okay. With that being said, we say thank you. We'll have another outlook next time.